Okay, awesome. So I am very excited to teach this class. Who has attended this class before, 6 Personal Perspectives? I think there's probably even a couple of people that have taught this class many times. So I am excited to have the group that I have in here. We are going to... I'm going to set up the room as far as what I'm going to be doing today based on the training room that I'm in. So let me just minus that. Okay. Perfect. So most of the time, we're just going to be going through the slides. Every now and then, we're going to switch back over, maybe jump over to a different video, different screen. So if you see that, that's when I'll be kind of going back and forth. And if you're with KW Salt Lake City, as of today, we have a podium on order. So Kimber doing this today is where that was inspired. So thank you. Okay. There are a couple of disclaimers that I like to put out at the beginning of this training because it's CE approved. So if you're attending on Zoom, you have to be on the call or on the Zoom for majority of the training, which is 2 hours. So there's that little disclaimer. Same goes for the room. It's a little bit more apparent though when I see you like leave an hour through, yeah. So this is a 2-hour elective course. This is a Keller Williams University curriculum. So this comes straight from our curriculum library written by top agents, Gary Keller, Jay Papazan, all of those amazing smart people. And I personally look at this course as how we fundamentally operate as agents and leaders within this company. So this is my breath of fresh air class. This is if I need a reset for mindset, if I need to, that feeling of get the train back on the tracks, usually mindset based, this is the course for that. And I hope that throughout this class, once you attend, you'll realize that you've probably seen people around you at this office or another office that you're a part of at Keller Williams. You've probably seen people put these perspectives into motion, into action, right? Because it really is the fundamental of how I feel like most of us operate. So this is why I love this course. One other disclaimer is I am fairly new to the process as far as Keller Williams University is concerned, but I am currently working on getting KWU certified. So for whatever reason, and we'll talk about this a little bit with these perspectives, anything else that doesn't have to do with our KWU curriculum, I am so like outgoing, not concerned. I'll talk to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people. For some reason, if you give me, here's the lesson plan, this is what it is, then I'm like, ugh. So, but this is how we learn, right? And this is how Keller Williams University instructors get approved, is getting feedback from people that attend their classes on ways that they can do better. So that is my quick disclaimer for we're going to have an eval at the end, and that isn't where I want you to like, give me 5 stars. Give me the feedback that I need to be the instructor that I'm looking to become, right? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna pull up my notes. And then, okay, last disclaimer, and Gordon's gonna put this in Zoom. On kwutah.com, if you have your laptop, tablet, kwutah.com, at the top of the page, we have a resource button. Under resources, and I'll just kind of walk you through this. we put the student manual on there, 83 pages for how many people we have in the room. Definitely wanted to save the trees. So on kwutah.com, under resources and agent resources, this is also where we put like our market update slides. You'll just go click on class slides. And then our 6 personal perspectives, we have one document that has all of our video links that we're going to go through today. And then you'll also have a document that has the student manual. So if you are the visual, I want something close by while I'm looking at the slides, I want to make sure that you have that as well. Okay, no worries. Okay, so go to kwutah.com and then go to resources. You're good. And then agent resources, and then class slides, and then this class 6 personal perspectives. So you can have that up. Perfect. If not, you will still get plenty out of the class if you don't have that in front of you. Wanted to go through that. Student manual is the one you'll probably want up and scrolling through. Yeah. Okay. I think that is, Gordon, did I miss anything that you can think of?
I just posted it out there as well.
Okay, perfect. We always like to put this disclaimer because if we ever talk about reaching out to people, calling people, we want to do that in a TCPA compliant manner so that we don't have more liability than we need. There you go. But it also says all the legal jargon. Okay. What is it that differentiates those who achieve at the highest level from those who don't seem to accomplish as much? So we're going to hone in on that question today. So this is what Gary Keller specifically says as far as the 3 things that he has noticed are the common differentiators of those that are high achievers and those that maybe aren't as high of an achiever. Having a good mindset, their attitude, and how they approach life. So we're going to dig into basically perspectives, the 6 personal perspectives that equate to all of that, to a good mindset, to good attitude. These are the 6. So we have about 2 hours. So I am focusing on getting at least 3 in the first hour, and then 3 in the last. That's how I'm going to time block that. Some will have a little bit more content associated with them. Some we might blaze through a tiny bit more. The true curriculum is a little bit closer to 3 hours. So if we skip over maybe 1 or 2 pages, we won't be skipping over any of the concepts or the meat and potatoes. And we'll make sure that you still get the value out of that, but just wanted to throw that out there. So these are the 6 personal perspectives. So one thing I do want to let you all know, it'll be a little bit different on Zoom, but I still would love anybody on Zoom that wants to interact. There is a little bit of, it's not group work, like we're not, hey, write it down, okay, tell me. It's more, we have the group work set up so that when you're writing these things down, speaking them out loud helps make them just a tiny bit more real. So there will be a couple of times where we stop, and doesn't need to be regimented as far as 2 people if there's 3 close together, but we will have those moments where we'll stop and maybe talk amongst ourselves as a group. Okay, so these are the 6 personal perspectives. Commit to self-mastery, commit to the 80-20 principle, move from E to P. Being new to KW, I had no idea what that meant, so I'm excited to teach some of you that I've never heard either. Make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. Remove your limiting beliefs, and be accountable. Okay, so For commit to self-mastery, what that means is I am going to nail it. I am going to master this. Commit to the 80-20 principle. We'll go deeper on this, but I am going to focus on my big rocks. Who has heard that phrase, big rocks? Okay. Sometimes we say a lot of stuff and we don't really know what it means. Maybe that's just me, but we'll talk about what that means if you don't know. I am purposeful, move from E to P. I am purposeful about breaking through my ceiling of achievement. On make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. I am willing to be taught. I always pursue learning. We do that at a high level at Keller Williams. For remove your limiting beliefs, I unlimit my thinking and my success. We have a video that someone will share a story for that. And then be accountable. It's mine. I own it. I'm going to pick on Kathy. Which one is your favorite six personal perspective? E to P. Okay. Okay. I'm excited when we go through that one to possibly pick on you, if I have permission. Mike Walters, I'm going to pick on you really quick. Which one's your favorite? Okay. I love it. I might pick on you later too. And correlating between those two answers, I didn't plant them. I didn't tee that up. The commonality of them both bringing up someone that influenced them and mentored them to be better. We're going to talk a lot about that today because this is a team sport. We're about to write down a goal that we have, and now it's going to really start with, it's not we're writing down the goal and it's me, myself, and I. It's we're writing down the goal and who do we enlist to hit the goal. Okay, so if you have the manual, obviously you have the visual, but if you have a note, something to take a note on, what 3 things would you like to accomplish in your life? I'm going to show you guys a quick video. So I'm going to just throw out that question so you can sit there and think about it. I'm going to show you a quick video to tee this up. Don't you love? I'm like, which side do I pick? Which do I turn? And tiny, there's a little bit where this buffer's slow, but I think it's pretty good, so it should be okay.
So imagine a big explosion as you climb through 3,000 feet. Imagine a plane full of smoke. Imagine an engine going clack, 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 clack. Sounds scary. Well, I had a unique seat that day. I was sitting in 1D. I was the only one who could talk to the flight attendants. So I looked at them right away, and they said, no problem. We probably hit some birds. The pilot had already turned the plane around, and we weren't that far. You could see Manhattan. 2 minutes later, 3 things happen at the same time. The pilot lines up the plane with the Hudson River. It's usually not the route. He turns off the engines. Now imagine being on a plane with no sound. And then he says 3 words, as unemotional 3 words as I've ever heard. He says, brace for impact. I didn't have to talk to the flight attendant anymore. I could see in her eyes, it was terror. Life was over. And I want to share with you 3 things I learned about myself that day. I learned that it all changes in an instant. We have this bucket list. We have these things we want to do in life. And I thought about all the people I wanted to reach out that I didn't. All the fences I wanted to mend. All the experiences I wanted to have and I never did. As I thought about that, later on, I came up with a saying, which is, I collect bad wines. Because if the wine is ready and the person is there, I'm opening it. I no longer want to postpone anything in life. And that urgency, that purpose has really changed my life. The second thing I learned that day, and this is as we clear the George Washington Bridge, which was by not a lot, I thought about, wow, I really feel one real regret. I've lived a good life. In my own humanity and mistakes, I've tried to get better at everything I've tried. But in my humanity, I also allow my ego to get in. And I regretted the time I wasted in things that did not matter with people that matter. And I thought about my relationship with my wife, with my friends, with people. And after, as I reflected on that, I decided to eliminate negative energy from my life. It's not perfect, it's a lot better. I've not had a fight with my wife in 2 years, it feels great. I'm no longer trying to be right, I choose to be happy. The third thing I learned, and this is as your mental clock starts going 15, 14, 13, you can see the water coming, I'm saying, please blow up. Right? I don't want this thing to break in 20 pieces like you've seen in those documentaries. And as we're coming down, I had a sense of, wow, dying is not scary. It's almost like we've been preparing for it our whole lives. But it was very sad. I didn't want to go. I love my life. And that sadness really framed in one thought, which is, I only wish for one thing. I only wish I could see my kids grow up. About a month later, I was in a performance by my daughter, first grader, not much artistic talent, yet. And I'm bawling, I'm crying like a little kid. And it made all the sense in the world to me. I realized at that point, by connecting those two dots, that the only thing that matters in my life is being a great dad. Above all, the only goal I have in life is to be a good dad. I was given the gift of a miracle of not dying that day. I was given another gift, which was to be able to see into the future and come back and live differently. I challenge you guys that are flying today. Imagine the same thing happens on your plane, and please don't. But imagine, and how would you change? What would you get done that you're waiting to get done because you think you'll be here forever? How would you change your relationships and the negative energy in them? And more than anything, are you being the best parent you can? Thank you.
These meals share a secret ingredient.
So I want you to write down, what are 3 things you would like to accomplish in your life that you haven't achieved yet? You can think of what you'd like to be, do, or achieve. And actually write that down. If you're like, I don't have a piece of paper, you probably have a phone. Text it to yourself. So while you're writing that down, I'm going to read this quote because I love this quote from Deepak Chopra. Imagine for a moment your own version of a perfect future, like he was talking about. Now take the memory of that future and okay, well just listen to me. Okay, shh. Okay. Now take the memory of that future and bring it here into the present. Let it influence how you will behave from this moment on. Perspective, right? We're going to jump over into writing down a goal in a minute. But I like the frame of this first, as far as 3 things you want to accomplish, or things you want to be, or things you want to do. Is anyone wanting or willing to share one? Yeah, Mike Walters. I'm going to give you a mic just because I want to make sure Zoom can hear you. Thank you.
Yep, so my wife and I have talked for 5 years about our goal of having a second home down in Arizona so that we can spend the winters down there. But that's all we've done is talk. So like, as I'm writing this down, it's about, okay, what can I do starting today to start that process?
Yeah, I love that. And you know, a great agent, you know? Anyone else? Audrey?
I'm working on the third one right now, but so far
Okay.
I've got world traveler and millionaire.
Okay,
So
I
those are
love
some
it.
things right now.
I love it. The nice thing is those are amazing and non-specific. And this is where this class is going to take us on that journey where it's going to help you get more specific about, okay, what do I need to do on a daily basis? Who do I need to be on a daily basis in order to achieve that? So I loved that. I loved that it was general. Also, this is intimidating. I'm like, hold on, I need like an hour to think about it. Okay. Anyone else? Oh, Kathy, sorry, I didn't see your hand. There you go.
I have a very specific non-negotiable goal
Okay.
that happened on September 9th of 2022.
Okay.
My granddaughter was born, and I made a commitment that I wanted to see her every 7 weeks. She will turn 2.
And she doesn't live in the state.
She lives
correct?
in Dallas.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to give
Yeah.
everyone else that context. Okay.
So she will turn 2 on September 9th of 2024. And I have kept that commitment. And in KW fashion, as soon as I get home, I book the next trip. And I have done so to the point that there probably wasn't enough money to book the next flight. And I felt the pain and did it anyway. But then it also thrives, it pushes all of my business goals because I don't want to feel that pain. I want to be able to do it easily. But what's nice is that I've done it so far and it's felt great, but it's a non-negotiable. So
I
no
love
matter
that.
what, it happens.
So the Deepak Chopra, I don't know why that's hard for me, quote, where he said, let it influence how you behave from this moment on. That's a perfect example of that. Also, can you just quickly just speak to, like, yes, obviously being with your granddaughter and being that consistent, that's the payday of all of that. But how does it make you feel as a human being that put a flag in the ground and like stuck to it?
When he said the top thing was he wanted to be a good dad.
I know. It's almost like that statement, if you're a parent, it's
Yeah.
like,
It's
you
like,
immediately.
it gets you.
Yeah.
But it's like not only, but my goal supports my daughter knowing 100% I'm there. And I don't care if my kids are adults.
Yeah.
I still want to be a good mom.
Yeah.
They still need to know that I'm here 100%. And I think they both know that. So that feels great because that is the top thing in any parent's life, I think.
Yeah. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. You're like, wait, it's already It's already getting real. So we're doing the reality check. So we're going to write down a goal. If you're following along in this student manual, there's like circles that says, what is your goal? How are you doing? How do you feel about that? So most of you, we're going to talk about a 411 and a tool, this tool that you can use on a weekly basis to help achieve your goal. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the goal that you wrote down for the year, or now you feel like you have to have like this, I don't know, how many listings do I want to take? You don't have to get too crazy worried about that right now. Just think about what is a goal that you truly have right now that you haven't accomplished or that you want to work to accomplish. I personally like to frame it in something like this. If I'm a student in this class and sitting in one of the seats, I want to pick a goal, but I also want to have a time frame around it. I have an opportunity to grow on the long-term goals. So right now, I'm very inclined to write something that I know I haven't done that I need to do by the end of the year. That's what I would choose right now. And you can also pick something that is that further out there. But what's a goal you have? And then how are you doing with it? I will be totally vulnerable and give you an example. At the beginning of the year, I decided that I am going to be committed to my physical fitness. And I am going to engage in a different activity other than running in a straight line, because that's all I've been doing for the last 15 years, is just marathons, half marathons, half marathons, half marathons. So I'm like, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do Pilates. Has Kimber gone to one Pilates class yet this year, you guys? No. So how am I doing? Awful. How do I feel about that? Couple of things. First of all, I was pretty committed when I said that or wrote that down at the beginning of the year. So I don't feel great about it. And I'm also simultaneously checking to be like, was that really a motivating goal for me? Was I putting that out there because I was just trying to do something different? So it was about leaving running, but I also just picked whatever. I didn't really have a plan. I feel like that's kind of where I was at. So for that, I don't feel great about that I haven't shown up and done that. And also I'm checking myself to be like, I was just putting a pin on the board and picking something at the same time. So there's an example. And then what will my future look like if I do not achieve my goal? I don't know. I think I'll live without Pilates, but I might not be as flexible or as, like I want to be well-rounded with fitness, right? But that's an example of there's not too much at stake. Anyone else have a thought rolling around in their head for a goal? Yes.
So a goal that I have had probably for the last 8 months or so is to buy a house all on my own.
Okay.
I went through a separation at the beginning of the year and we had to sell the house and all that kind of stuff. And so now I want to do all of that on my own on top of investing in real estate moving forward in that way. But this is my first stepping stone toward, the bigger investments. This year has not gone how I thought it would. So when it comes to how I'm doing on the goal, I've taken care of some big rocks. It feels like mostly small rocks, but I still know that I'm pushing forward. And that feels good. But yeah, not achieving it is kind of like, it doesn't feel good to think about not achieving it because I've owned a house in the past and I want to do that in the future, and I want to turn them into investments, and I can see the bigger life that that can build for me, even in the longer run than just this goal.
I love that. So I am going to put a pin in that comment because when we talk about how we're going to really break down what we do on a day-to-day basis, I want to come back to that specific example if you're okay with that. Okay. So I have something, but I'm like, that's part of our class, so we're going to flow with it. And I love that example. Welcome, Nice Sassy. You're like, don't call on me. Okay, I just want to turn this off so I don't accidentally have feedback or anything. Okay. So we're starting with committing to self-mastery. Ooh. Okay, so the definition, self-mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. When you commit to achieving self-mastery, you know your goals, you know your strengths and weaknesses, and you know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to reach your goals. The first time I attended this class, I remember seeing this specific definition and thinking two things. One, duh. Like, duh. Of course, I need to know what my strengths and weaknesses are. Of course, I need to know that in order to achieve what I'm doing, right? I need to know my blind spots. And my other aha from this was, I have not been achieving goals with this intentionality at all. I have been by accident forward progressing, either because I just got a little bit older, so I moved up a little bit, so I just made a little bit more. That's being a passenger, right? This is the intentional moving forward. Self-mastery is this mastering this perspective. I think there's a reason by design that it's first, because it lays the framework for everything else. Our coaching program at Keller Williams is called Mastery Coaching. That's not an accident. Okay, who has read Outliers? I have purchased it, so we're doing great. This was the #1 book that they suggested as far as committing to self-mastery. Jason Abrams, he's one of our executives at Keller Williams. He talks about it a lot. I am personally putting it on my list for something that I'm going to read by the end of the year. Someone asked me about it on the 31st. Neat. Okay, thanks. Why some people succeed and why some don't. This book is an oldie but a goodie, right? It's been around a while. This is almost like 6 personal perspectives in a book. So mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make one the master of a subject. Mike Walters, do you feel like you are a master of being a real estate agent? Why do you answer that question no? Because you're on the top team in the state. So you should just say yes. Just kidding. Why would you say no? I have no idea what he's going to respond. So the raw answer is the right answer.
Well, speaking as an agent, I still daily struggle with making calls. I still struggle with knowing what to say, when to say it. It's not with every call, it's not with every day, but it is there, right? So just in that space, which is a foundational piece of what we do as agents, I think I've got so much room for improvement, right? There are some days I'm good at it, other days I'm not, but it's the consistency that prevents me from being a master at this point.
Okay. I love that example because that was prospecting was the example I was going to give. So we might dig into that a little bit more. So if my goal is being a master prospector, right? Mike knows that that activity will probably be the one thing that leads to the biggest result for him. And so if that is my goal, master prospecting, then I need to identify what about prospecting, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses, right? So we're almost like putting together a puzzle piece. I'm gonna skip over this guy really quick. So one of my strengths for prospecting could be that I'm just good with people. I'm not afraid of people. I'll talk to people all day. Let's use that as an example. That's my strength. But my weakness is I'm uncomfortable bringing up business. Mike could decide he doesn't like prospecting for a different reason. But you're going to break down of that goal that I have, what strengths do I have that are going to make this achievable? And what weaknesses do I have? Not that I need to quit and change my goal. That's not what we said. It's that I need to be aware of. So if my weakness is I'm uncomfortable bringing up business, what could be something that's a part of my plan? Like practicing scripting, right? Coming in and showing up for that every day. Because if I'm more comfortable with how the conversation flows, then I'm not going to be as like, that's not going to be such a weakness for me, right? Okay. I know I'm not your coach, and yet what's cool about the convo I had with you yesterday, we were just having a conversation about a luxury event, but you almost got off. I said, how was your day? You summed up your day with the activities and where it will lead to the result. And I love that we have that like rapport in that conversation, but you were like, I talked to this person, they have this potential amount of listings that will happen in October, and I did this. So I'm not your accountability partner. I'm not your actual partner. So I'm not like, what were you doing all day, right? There is no reason why Nate needs to do that. But yet that framing, you knew what I spent time on today is going to lead to a result. So I love that. Another good example, and I'll just pick on Nate because we've had this conversation too, calling your sphere. The people that you know love you, trust you, they've referred you business. Those are like my least intimidating people. I can talk to them all day. And so if I feel like my weakness is bringing up business, maybe I need to spend more time really honing in on my sphere calls and just being vulnerable with the people that I know. They're probably going to always use me unless I totally screw it up, right? But lean on that to then get that weakness to where it's not such a detrimental part of the puzzle. Okay, so I'm going to skip over this exercise. We're going to do the next exercise because we talked a little bit about weaknesses. Okay, 80-20 principle is the one that I feel like it has the most content attached to it because it seems pretty straightforward. And we hear a lot about it. Like sometimes I'll just repeat it and then sometimes I go, do I even really understand? Sorry, I'm just skipping over. Do I really understand what this is saying? So I'm going to quickly play a video. Right. Just want to get that out there.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Dupree, and I've been with Keller Williams since 2019, and I've been in the real estate industry my entire life, and I am so excited that you're here today to learn about one of my favorite perspectives, the 80-20 rule. This is one of my favorite perspectives out of the 6 perspectives because it basically helps you as an agent, as a leader, move from where you are to where you want to be faster, to collapse those time frames down. What it basically says is that 20% of your activities are going to generate 80% of your results. I've lived by this perspective since I was a kid. I grew up playing basketball. In fact, I was horrible at basketball 6th and 7th grade. I made a decision I wanted to be good, and I got the Pete Maravich Pistol Pete basketball tapes. And every morning I would do my dribbling drills, I would do my passing drills, defense drills, the skills to help me become a better player. I'd shoot 1,000 shots every single day, 500 free throws every single day. And then from my 7th grade to my 8th grade year, I became a much better player. My 8th grade year to my freshman year, I became a starter on the varsity team. Then I started thinking about playing at the collegiate level. And I knew that I wasn't the most talented player, but if I wanted to have the opportunity to play at the collegiate level, I had to really hone in on what were the things that mattered most to helping me become a better player. And it was mastering the fundamentals, doing the drills over and over and over and over again until I mastered them. Then I got into the real estate business. My mother's been an agent for 52 years, and she taught me, Jonathan, if you focus on listings, you will make more money than other agents who focus solely on buyers. So I made the bulk of my activity to generate leads to get listings. And as a result, I was able to build a successful real estate career. You know, I remember as a new team leader walking through our market center, and I saw one of our agents who was newer, and they were working so hard at creating all these forms. And I stopped and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm making all these forms so that it'll help me with my clients." I told him those forms already existed, and he was wasting his time on the 80% activities that generated 20% of his results. I'll never forget when he finally realized he needed to spend his time devoted to lead generating, to get listings, to write contracts, to close deals so that he could make money. He finally understood about prioritizing his business and focusing on what matters most so that he could end up building the life that he desired and that he deserved. And he still brings that conversation up. That was a shift for him when he realized he was avoiding doing what he knew he should do most to grow his business, so that he still though felt productive by creating those forms. See, as an agent, or you look at as a leader, anywhere in your life, you have to determine what are the levers that I can pull that will help me collapse the time frames and get the results that I desire. Those 20% activities, gaining clarity to what matters most for you in your business. And in real estate, we know it's lead generate, to get appointments, to get listings, to have write contracts, to have closings, to make money. I'm so excited that you're about to learn about this perspective. I can't wait till you implement it. And one thing I want to leave you with is the speed of growth in your business will always be determined by the speed of implementation. How quickly you take these perspectives that you're learning about today and apply them to your personal life and to your business. I can't wait to see how far you go and how much you grow by implementing these perspectives and strategies into your business and your personal life. So let's get ready to learn.
From current slide. You guys, I'm learning about Microsoft today. Just kidding. Oh, good times. Okay, so the truth. There is a pattern of predictable imbalance in life. It's called the 80-20 principle. So I'm going to read this verbatim because this is one of those things that we hear about constantly, and we hear about it enough that we think that like Gary Vee was the one that created it. It's a very old principle. And so I want to read this. It's straight from the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book, but this is actually where the 80-20 principle came from. So in the 1940s, quality control manager, Dr. Joseph Huron, documented a life-changing universal principle that he called the vital few and trivial many. I actually like that name better. Vital few and trivial many. The idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to the vast majority of your results. He attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. I think I got that, who had observed that 80% of the wealth in his country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known as Euron's Law, or not as Euron's Law, but as Pareto's principle. These days, we simply call it the 80-20 principle. The idea that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results may be one of the most powerful principles you can apply in your life. It's about getting the most from your time and effort. It's about maximizing your results. It's about having focus. Focus is the key to great success, more than effort, experience, and even natural ability. Look at the highest achievers in any field, and you'll discover that they have powerful focus. Just as importantly, you'll learn that they focus on the right things, the handful of truly important issues that make the biggest difference. So now you know the definition. We just watched that. Okay, so the big rocks come first. So this is another thing we say a lot. So I'm going to paint this visual picture. If I have a jar, and I actually have 3 jars. I have an empty jar. I have a jar of just a bunch of pebbles. And then I have a jar of maybe 5 or 6 large rocks. If I pour the pebbles, all of those pebbles into the empty jar that I have, I won't have barely any room to put any of those big rocks, right? I would have filled up the jar with the pebbles. However, if I put my big 5 or 6 stones in the jar and then poured the pebbles over, what do the pebbles do? They kind of fill in those spots, right? So that's the physical example of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And putting in those small rocks first, there's just not going to be enough time for the big things. And unfortunately, those are the big things that are going to make the most impact. So, big rocks come first. Does everyone feel a little bit more comfortable about the definition? I feel like I was throwing out 80-20 principle, like 80-20, just 20% of the effort. Okay, so when we are focused on the 20% that matters, we get 80% of the results that we want. So, Gary Keller just gave an amazing little keynote at Mega Camp in Austin, Texas. So I will include these slides in the spot that you grabbed your slides for 6 personal perspectives. I'll go add these in there because I don't want to get off the curriculum, but it's very valuable. He went over win the morning, win the day. And it's a phrase he has always believed in and really operated out of for a very long time. I mean, there's a reason why team meeting starts at 11. It's because we are protecting the time block in the morning for lead generating, right? Win the morning, win the day. So once you see those slides, jump in there, just go through and read them. But his message was basically, if you win every single day, there is no other math than you will hit your goal, right? Then you will win. All you have to do is win every single day. And that really makes it, I guess, more palatable, right? It's not so, oh my gosh, like I have this huge thing, like I have to become a master Pilates instructor. I'm like, no, I just have to call them and give them my credit card number and wake up and go there. That's all. But apparently, I've been doing the 80%. Okay. So identify your 20%, then go even smaller by finding the vital few. So this is an example that we have in the one thing. So I know most of us have blocked out school as far as the whole like math they made us do, but we do use math still sometimes in real estate. So if we had a list of 25 things, that's a great example of all those pebbles. And if we broke that down by 20%, then we'd have the 5 things. And then if we broke that down by 20%, then what would we have? The one thing. What is the one thing such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So me and Mike Walters, and maybe someone else that's crazy, can relate to this marathon example, okay? So I want to run a marathon. Who gave anyone that idea? We don't know, but run a marathon. You could start out your marathon journey by being like, well, a marathon's 26 miles. So I have to run a lot of miles every single day. So I'm going to start out by running 2 or 3 miles a day. And then maybe in a couple of weeks, I need to be running a little bit more because eventually it's got to be up to 20. I have to run at least 20 miles on a training run just to have a shot at finishing this thing, right? How I just described that to you, did you hear any type of plan, preparation, like calmness in what I just said, right? There's nothing. That would be awful. That'd be the worst marathon training plan ever, what I just said. Just keep running and keep running more and hope for the best. However, if you make a success list, not a to-do list, okay, well, what am I consuming? What's my diet plan? Do I maybe need to, based on like just running is hard on your joints, do I maybe need to be 20 pounds lighter before I go gung-ho on this journey? Maybe, right? So maybe I need to work on a diet plan. I need to make sure I'm hydrating enough. I consume 1 large venti Americano and a couple sips of water a day. Let's go run a marathon. No, right? So we need a hydration plan. What's a program that's gonna keep us, again, where we're balanced, where we're not, it's just not all about running, because if it's all about running, it's not if, but when we get an injury, right? So here's an example of how I'm gonna go do that. Okay, this is my success list. Now I just have to find out, when the heck am I gonna do all of this? I have to time block for it. Okay, so we have our goal that you wrote down or that you have in your heart. Hopefully you wrote it down because it makes it more real if you write it down. List as many of the things you can think of that you are doing or could be doing to make this goal a reality. Create a success list by circling only the tasks that are going to have the most impact on your goal. So I heard it mentioned, I would like to buy an investment property. I heard it mentioned, like, I would like to buy my own home. I heard it mentioned, I would like to travel more, right? These are all amazing goals. I want to be a world traveler. So what are all the things that I'm doing or I could be doing to make this goal a reality? Down to the small and minor. Let's try to write down possibly like 5 things. You can write more, but I know with like time constraint and sometimes it's a lot of pressure. But we're just creating a success list. It's not that feeling of I go into the office and I say, okay, I need to go log into the DMV and get a new driver's license because I lost my purse. Okay, I need a new Amex. Okay, I need a new, oh wait, that's just me right now. Don't leave your purse on a plane is all I gotta say. So I know what if you're Kimber, it's a little bit of a perfectionist. What you might be doing is you might be filtering your thoughts before you write things down. And that's okay. If you put everything down, right? Like, this is the thing. I need to, my credit score needs to go up 10 points. I need to call a lender. Like, I don't even know. I need to know how much I need in savings, how much cash I need to go buy that property. All of those things are part of the things that you would need to do for that goal, if we're using that goal as an example. What we're going to be circling are just the thing, like, what is really going to make an impact on the goal? So we're taking our success list and then we're going to break it down to have that one thing. Does anyone want to share a quick example of something that they wrote down? Nate, hold on, I'm going to hand you a mic real quick.
So I know my goal, I've identified the gap.
Okay.
And to get to the gap, I don't want to focus on making up the transactions that I'm behind. I want to focus on the appointments that are going to lead to the closings. So I know that I need 7 appointments per month, and I know that I'm at 5 currently for this month. So my big thing, right, is getting those 2 more appointments for the month. So then, and this is something where I'm guilty of this way too much with 80-20, is you go through your list once and do the 80-20, but then if lead gen is in your top 20%, I fail to then 80-20 that down further. Do you know what I mean? So it's like lead gen, okay, great. But then it's like, hey, I'm sitting here at my computer. What am I, like?
Who's in my pipeline that needs to go from a 7 to a 10 or
Yeah.
from a 4 to a 7?
So yeah, so then
And then you're like, what's a pipeline? You need a pipeline. Put that on your success list. Yes.
So then my big thing is, okay, well, who's the most likely to get me those 2 appointments? It's people that I've already met and had a conversation with, so I need to follow up. And then the next layer of that would probably be expireds, because those are the people that have already raised their hand to sell their house.
I'm going to ask you a question that might feel obvious, but you sound confident in what you just said.
Okay.
Does anyone else agree? Very confident, like, I've had 5, I'm gonna hit 7, I just need 2 more. Like, if you were my coach, I'd be like, okay, you're on it. And does that confidence come from the fact that you have done this before? You have been here before where you know you have a track record.
It's that.
There's not a right or wrong answer. I just kind of
Yeah,
want to expand
it's-
on that.
I think it's being so firm in your goal that not hitting the goal is not an option. And so that forces me to know, what are my numbers, what are my systems, what are my metrics. So I think it's just the unwillingness to not meet the goal.
I love it. This is why when we start this class, we start with the goal, because we need that emotion. We need to even know, for all these perspectives, what am I even chasing after, right? Otherwise, it would be the theory of how we become high performers. But if we have the goal in mind, then really all we're doing is talking about the roadmap to that. So that's perfect. Yeah, you hold on to that. Or I can run down the aisle, like. Any other thoughts? Who has a 411? Okay. You don't need to say who doesn't have a 411. And if you have a 411, one reason why you would never go without one, I guess. Why is it so crucial? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, so you just said, yeah, repeat what you said.
So I said the 411 takes away the daily, oh crap, what do I have to do today? You already have it set up. You go in with the tasks that are going to lead to the results that are going to lead to achieving your goals.
I love it. Every day I gave that example, right, where it's just like you're on the train and you're like, well, I'm getting older, so I'm making more money. Good job, Kimber. That's someone that doesn't have a 411 every day, right? That's not someone that's winning the morning, winning the day. Why I love the 411 too, and it breaks down into 6 pieces. So set weekly goals, the weekly lead up to the monthly lead up to the yearly. So I'll give you a very easy one. I'm going to take 24 listings this year. So monthly, I need to take 2. And so if in January I don't take 2 listings, I only take 1. February, that missing one is coming with me. I don't get to cut it out, right? But compounded, if we aren't tracking our 411, yes, we will be like, hey, so that Pilates goal, that was cute. And we'll have to leave it in the dust, right? Because there's really no, I mean, there is starting today, and then we get every day after to make a difference. But at that point, there's really no going back. Plan weekly goals activities no more than 1 week in advance to allow for change in direction if needed. Set annual goals that can realistically be accomplished in a 12-month time period. Avoid revising goals set in prior weeks or months to reflect new goals or missed goals, for example. This is an example 411. You can find it on KW Connect as well. I've seen people do creative things with Google Docs. We can go throw one of those in the 6 personal perspectives folder for you. Whatever way it helps you to pull it up and remember it and have a conversation with someone about it, that's the best form. So I don't get picky about, oh, it's an Excel sheet, or, oh, I write it down. I like to write it out. The method that you do is the best method, in my opinion. And a crucial piece of a 411 is having another individual to be accountable to. We'll talk about be accountable in a minute, because it's one of the principles. Any other thoughts about 411? Just want to make sure. Okay, truth. People think there's never enough time to be successful, but there is when you time block it. Okay, I could teach the time blocking in my sleep, because it is like the survival of Kimber or the death of Kimber. So, for better or worse, I've learned this one. If you erase, you must replace. All these good things we're about to talk about. So time blocking. Let's say that I need to take 2 listings. So I need to have a certain amount of conversations. If I'm going to take 2 listings this month, how many conversations do I need to have, Mike Walters? You don't know my conversion rate. I know that's what you're about to ask me, right? Okay, so give me a scenario of with X conversion rate you need to have, yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay. So when I come in and prospect every day, I need to time block minimum of 2 hours. Longer. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to repeat yourself, but.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just, I wanted to add that for time blocking specifically, so putting you on the spot, you got to take that mic back, sorry, because I want to ask Mike one more question. How do you have this conversation with your team for time blocking when you're talking about the importance of it or setting a standard for time blocking?
Well, I mean, 2 hours is a great space to start first, because I think after 2 hours, I mean, I'm looking at people that were on our team or who I've talked with, it's mentally, like there's a certain bandwidth. Sometimes it's an hour and a half for some, 3 hours for others, but 2 hours is good. Okay.
To be effective.
To be effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's do it early. We know that the best time to call people is between, 8:30 and 10:30, 9 to 11. The next best time to call is in the afternoon between 4 and 6, right? So not, most people don't want to do their lead gen in the afternoon. I certainly don't, because I don't have the mental capacity at that point in the day. So I get them done in the morning.
You're a win the morning, win the day.
Yep. I think that those are the discussions we have with our team, and the ones that do it consistently, like I think Josh Mondell, he's on our team right now. Nate's shaking his head. He is in here every morning. He is winning the morning, winning the day. And he just finished his first year in real estate, and I think he's at 9 closings,
Wow.
right? Just by simply plugging in, right? And doing what we just talked about.
Thank you for bringing that example, real world example to life. Sorry, my laptop's like talking about dying, so I don't want to today. Let's just turn that on. Sorry. Okay. So the truth is, the world doesn't know your purpose and priorities and isn't responsible for them. You are. Have you ever been completely and utterly annoyed when somebody doesn't respect that you have a deadline, like you have 2 hours that you're committing to lead generating, and someone just needs you? You're annoyed, right? So we don't know. I don't know what your purpose is, your goal. I am not looking at everybody's page and writing like what your priorities are in general or specifically for that day, right? So you're in charge of basically setting up these boundaries for yourself on a day-to-day basis to time block. So these are the 4 fundamentals. We'll quickly go through them, but they're pretty simple to implement. Success is simple, not easy. This is where, here we go. Build a bunker. So prospecting where you're in a spot that is conducive to calling other people. Less distractions. Store provisions. This is good for those of us that just need a little drink. We need a little snack. We're just like, attention deficit disorder with store provisions, that's where it'll get you, because you're like, I have to go get or do X, Y, Z. No, you don't. You stored the provisions, you have the almonds, you have the drink, you have what you need. And if you don't, then you need to do that first. Sweep for minds. If you are social, if you are a human and you have a telephone that gives off notifications every now and then, right? Those are minefields. Notifications are minefields. You get an Instagram notification and you click on it, goodbye, 30 minutes where you're looking at some funny memes. I'm like, wait, how did we get here? Does anyone else have that? That's a mine. And then enlist support. this is big for me because I don't want to disappoint people and be like the quote unquote jerk. So I will just, to whoever's around me, right? Hey, Nate, I'm going to go in and do XYZ. Can you help just answer any questions that agents have while I'm doing that? And Nate's supportive of what my goals are. And then he'll say, hey, Kimber's on a call. She's in a meeting. What can I help you with, right? So I can enlist support. Yes, please.
I just have a real world example for this one.
Those are the best examples.
And
yeah.
I think this is good because it's a little bit of home life too. So last night I had 3 appointments, got home by 6:40, and spouse is home, dinner's in the oven, and he's ready to just relax for the night, right? I'm home, the day's over. I just did 3 appointments and I now have paperwork and stuff that I feel like I need to get done before I'm done for the day, right? And some of that is, let's look at the 80-20, what actually has to be done, and what of it is my brain and anxiety telling me it has to be done tonight. But the second part of it is, after I identified what did have to be done that night, explaining that to my spouse, like, hey, I have another hour of work because I just took 3 new pieces of business for us, and if these close by October, it's important to me that we take a break and go to Mexico.
Yeah.
And that totally changes the dynamic from, oh, Nate's locked up in his home office, ignoring me, and I just made dinner and poured a glass of wine, to, oh, Nate needs 30 minutes because I know his goal, I know the priorities he's working on, and I know how it's a win-win for everyone.
Yes. Positive, and you were more driven because nothing's worse than being in there doing the work and being like, I'm going to hear about it later, right? So you knew you weren't going to hear about it later.
I was hearing about it at the moment, well, not hearing about it, but he's a hoverer, so it was just hovering by the door, which is fine, and I get his perspective, and I want to hang out with him.
Yeah, and so were the 2 dogs probably, right? It was all 3 of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
And then going back to the earlier clip you had up there of like, it's not their problem, it's mine. And that was something I had to be like, okay, they're bugging the crap out of me right now, but they're not intending to. They're excited I'm home.
Yes.
So I'm the problem.
Yes. Explaining someone said in the room, Barbara explaining the reward really helps. Right? Like, enlisting support is so important. They talk about that a lot when you attend Bold, as far as having that conversation with the person close to you, the person living with you, your spouse, your partner, about how focused you are on getting a result in these 8 weeks. That it is everything. And usually, if you're with the right person, they are like, let's do this, right? Because they're going to benefit from it as well. Okay. I'm a tiny bit behind, just a couple minutes. So we're just going to skip over a couple videos, but we'll get the key points. So move from E to P. This one is... The last 3 aren't as complicated. This one's a tiny bit more complicated because it's almost one of those that has to click. So this is the graphic for E to P. Has anyone heard us say E to P at Keller Williams and you're not quite sure what we mean? Okay, yes, okay, I love it. Melanie's shaking her head like, yes, you guys. Okay. So E to P, the fundamental ceiling of achievement. I'm going to kind of read this out loud because I know our screens are far away. So if you're on the entrepreneurial way, back to I'm on the train, I'm just forward progressing, 2% raise every year. That's an entrepreneurial way of life. Doing what comes naturally, have some disappointment, have that resignation I feel after the disappointment, and then... but there's greener pastures, like it's going to be fine, and then you consistently do that cycle, right? And the reason why you're never growing is because you hit that fundamental ceiling of achievement. Well, what comes into play? What's the reason why you're not breaking through the ceiling of achievement is because you're not willing to get uncomfortable. We are so driven to be comfortable, not just as real estate agents, but as human beings. It is almost a visceral response to us that we would put ourselves in an uncomfortable situation. And that's going to be the difference. So we're going to do what comes unnaturally. So the key for that higher ceiling, the learning-based mastery, there's 3 words up here at the top: coaching, consulting, and training. I'm going to skip over Wendy's video. Okay, so we're going to go through these details, and then I'm going to bring it back to those 3 words. So first of all, focus. We talked about focus earlier. We're writing down our goals. We're focusing on the 20%. Honestly, this slide kind of sums up the first hour. Find strategic options. How can I do this? Are there better ways of doing it? Anything we're look at and we're currently doing, but maybe we're not getting the result we want, is there a more effective way of me doing this? Look for models to follow. You are licensed with a company that has the best models in the world. Actually wrote and built them. Attend trainings that teach you how to get where you want to go. Identify mentors and people who have done it. Brought up that example with Kathy and Mike earlier. Install systems, so time blocking, the practice, the checklist, things that always need to happen. Make sure the systems you install work consistently and efficiently. And bring in accountability. One of the 6 personal perspectives is be accountable, so we'll talk a tiny bit more about that in a minute. But measuring what you do, having a 411, and having an accountability partner to talk to about it is key. For those of you, so here's the challenge that I think a lot of us present ourselves with. Kathy has been a team leader before, so she can resonate with this. There are agents that have coaches, and they're at the stage of their business where they're able to hire a coach. There are people like me and Audrey who are employed by Keller Williams. So we have accountability in the people that lead us, right? Like our team leader. Sometimes I feel like there is a huge amount of all of us that's not in either of those categories. We're not in a W-2 job, but we haven't yet hired a coach. But every single one of us needs an accountability partner. And that is why, that's another one of those like little added benefits of being with KW, is we are not a closed door, we don't share, like go ask someone else person or agent or community. We're literally designed where we have a group of people called an ALC that represents the agent and fights for the agent and makes sure that this company is built for agents, by agents, for agents, right? So I get, though, it's hard to like ask for help. If I don't feel like I can ask for help, I just feel very like, where do I start? So Kathy, I'm gonna pick on you. If I am an agent that doesn't have a coach, and I'm not really in like a staff position where I have like a designated boss, what's the best way? How do I start with finding an accountability partner at Keller Williams?
You're an agent, yes?
Yes, I'm an agent. Handful of deals, like I'm out here doing the work, coming to this class,
Okay.
figuring out what I need to do. There is not a right or wrong answer. I'm more just like, all of our market centers and our culture, we all operate the same. Where's the best place for me to start?
Some of the beauty of being at Keller Williams is because we are open door policy, and there are so many different ways and opportunities for you to plug into the market center.
Yeah.
One of the best things I love to tell the newer agents into KW, come in, plug into everything that we have, and meet people. Choose an accountability partner that is going, you find yourself easily giving them permission to hold you accountable. Because all the people that you meet, you're not going to give permission to all of them to hold you accountable. Sometimes you'll put your hand up and blocks up and you'll be like, nope, you can't tell me what to do. You can't hold me accountable. But if you're with someone that you feel like, all right, I would give you permission, then you have that discussion with that person about how they're going to be able to hold you accountable. And then you're going to be their accountability partner as well. So it's going to be a win-win on both sides. But the only way that you can do that is to plug into the office. If you don't plug into the office, I can assign you someone, but how do I know that that's going to be the right person for you?
Yeah.
I want you to choose that person and then have a discussion and have that person choose you. And so to me, it's like when it comes to accountability, I'm much more of a carrot person than a stick person.
Okay.
Meaning that you'll get much further if I know that there's a prize at the end if I
Yes.
win,
The high
as
I
opposed to
club.
someone's going to beat me to death but ironically, the first time in my life that I really felt that I was truly winning in my business was with a stick accountability person.
Interesting.
So it can go either way. And I do seek out taskmasters as well. So I know that about myself. So I'll share that with my accountability partner. But that's what I would say to get them started.
Yeah, I love that. And we have so many opportunities. Peers are only built by, again, like spending time and having conversations and being in these settings like in team meeting and in the trainings we're doing and in the events that we do. So lean into that for sure. And you can always reach out to, I always just default, like talking to your team leader and saying, oh, it's okay, it's okay. That I need an accountability partner. And yet the best people that will hold you accountable, the next question is already teed up. Remember when I asked Mike that question and I was like, as soon as I said something, I was like, he's gonna ask me my conversion rate. It's like they're going to ask you, like, hand me your 411. If someone is the right accountability partner, they're going to ask you that. So if you don't have it laid out yet, that's your first task, right? Thank you for saying that, just because I wanted a kind of a perspective that wasn't me saying that, and you said it eloquently. Okay, so make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. Good news, it's really easy to do here because we are so learning-based. A learning-based individual is an individual who has made the decision to use effective learning as the foundation piece for their action plan to develop their life. Okay, we're back to this graphic because it applies. So there's knowing for knowing's sake. So again, on that entrepreneurial side, trivial pursuits leads to nowhere. We're just ignorance-based, right? I know what I know and I'll ignore anything else. Ignorance is bliss. You ever heard that statement? Sometimes, but not when we're going to purposeful. Knowing for doing's sake is I know what I know and there is more to know. The example of asking one of the top leaders in the state, as far as on the top team, are you in mastery as being a real estate agent? And him so cleanly answering that question with no is an example that I didn't plant, but an example of this, which is, it doesn't mean he said no, like, oh no, I'm not that great. It's no, I know that I know there's more for me to learn, and there's more mountains for me to summit, right? Okay, 4 levels of competency. So I've seen this in one of those grid charts before. So it's just laid out a little bit different for this example. So there's the we don't know what we don't know, that day one feeling of being an agent. You're just like, I don't know. I don't know. I just got my license. I don't know what's going on. Now I know that that's a thing, but I'm not quite sure what it means yet. And then conscious competence is, okay, I know, like I know better. How Nate was like, the 5, I need the 7. I know that this is the gap. That's somebody that like knows what they need to do. Unconscious competence, though, is the goal, where now we just do it without thinking. The toothbrush example is always the most resonating with me. I do not think for 1 second ever, any day that I live, at least that I can remember. I probably fought it when I was like 5 or 6, right? But you just do not have to fight me to brush my teeth. I will never forget. Like it's so ingrained, right? So when I am trying to build a habit, like going to Pilates or going prospecting every day, my goal is I'm trying to get it to that point where it's like, this just isn't painful, right? It just is. I just do it because it's part of how I operate. High achievers reach their goals by making training, education, and self-development the foundational piece of their action plan. The success leaves clues on this one, I will tell you, is we have 2 events every year, our large events that are family reunion and mega camp. And what is so interesting to me, again, it's one of those obvious things, is sometimes the people that I feel like are the ones that need it the least, that feeling like, oh, that person, they know everything. They're the ones that will never miss one of those, or it's very rare that they miss those. It's because it's just a part of the action plan, right? There is not success isn't sequential, but neither is learning, right? There isn't like this imaginary finish line that once I hit it, I'm going to know everything. A learning-based person will never think that. Okay, we're gonna quickly, okay, we're good. I'm gonna play this video on being learning based. I wanna say this is Kimber. There is another Kimber in KW, by the way.
Hi everybody, my name is Mark Brennan and I'm super excited to be with you today to talk about one of the 6 personal perspectives. That perspective make being learning based the foundation to your action plan. See, for some of us, we go and we learn for learning's sake, or you can choose to learn for doing's sake. My journey started back in April of 2003, and 3 days into my time with KW, I ventured to Detroit, Michigan to hear Dave Jenks do a presentation on the newly issued book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Dave that day did this little jingle, and I've never forgotten it, and it really became foundational and began to catapult me on my path with this company. And that was, my success in real estate is in direct proportion to the number of people that when they think of real estate, they think of me. For the first 20 years of my professional career, I have to tell you, I can't say I was really learning based. On that day really put me on the path to change the trajectory of my career. From there, I went on to be a team leader and operating principal, and then later on, a little bit backwards, became a mega agent in our company. And throughout my journey, I plugged into each and every educational opportunity I could find. It was family reunion, it was mega camp, it was quantum leap.
I can remember getting it from Gary, that talk from Gary that very first time, and how impactful that had been. So much so that I decided I wanted to be on the path to become an instructor, and later on in my time with the company, become a master faculty member. And what I find is being a teacher, and each and every time I have the opportunity to be in front of people, I myself, I think, am learning more from them than maybe they're even learning from me. So that day back in 2003 put me on a journey to become very learning based, and I've continued that for these past 18 years. My hope for each and every one of you is that you find your passion, you find that moment that puts you on the same path. See, we're a company of unlimited opportunities, and those unlimited opportunities come from people that take those 6 perspectives and make learning based one of them, and let that be the foundation to your pathway.
Oh, wrong one. Oh, I was like, okay. Okay, so we have a lot of curriculum at KW. So something cool that we've done in the last few years is our main curriculum. So we have Ignite, 6 personal perspectives, Win with sellers, win with buyers. We've had all of those become, get them approved through the state of Utah as far as for CE classes. So what's cool about that is our curriculum is pretty straightforward and universal for real estate agents as far as something that will help them be more education-based in what you do every day, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't have been CE approved. So we have a lot of curriculum in our library. You all know that in each of our market centers, I'm almost 100% sure, usually there is an ALC chair that is specifically over education, right? So learning-based is obviously a priority for us here. And then with all the books that we have, that just proves that. I will just do a little plug. The most recent version, it's definitely playbook based, right? It's not like I bought a book on Amazon, but the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Playbook version 2, they just released that at Keller Williams. So it comes in as like a, spiral bound, it's pretty thick book. They sell it on KW Red Label for $25. Really, it's just the size of the book as far as printing it. Each of those pages include plays specifically that real estate agents use in their businesses, proven production, proven agents selling real estate, not the theory of real estate, in that most recent version. And so if you had something on your list, because most of these books we always just have in the market center, that would be the most recent thing that I would go and purchase and pick up. And depending on which office you're in, your market center may even have some in stock. And then the one thing is actually one of the most popular business books in the United States. So it definitely has exceeded the walls of Keller Williams. But the one thing was all of that 80-20 principle we talked about. It's a really good book to kind of hone in on those skills like building your bunker, sweeping for mines, those type of things. And then, that was a nice lightning bolt. And then obviously our curriculum is also based in the support that we provide at Keller Williams. So KW Connect is our library of all of our education. And then our MAPS coaching program is set up. Mike, you're a MAPS coach, or have been. Give me a reason why coaching would be something in the genre of learning based. Isn't coaching just like to hold me accountable? Why are they using that as an example of being learning based?
Yeah, because with with good coaching, you become self-aware, right? I mean, that's the best coaches I've had, my current coaches, is not what he's following up on. He's asking me questions so that I arrive at my conclusion, and that self-awareness is where the learning comes in.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for letting me pick on you for those quick questions. Okay, so this is your learning path. So we're not going to take the time as far as sharing the goal with your neighbor, but I do want you to write it down or text it to yourself. What don't you know that you need to know? Like, you need to learn how to deliver a 5-star listing presentation. Maybe that is not something you feel comfortable with right now. What is on your learning path? First thing is, I want you to write it down. But second thing is, I want you to tell one person on the staff in your market center that you wrote this down as something that you wanted to learn, and how do we get that? How do I get education on that? Okay, so removing your limiting beliefs. I want to start this with a simple question that was delivered to me once, but it really stuck and it made a big impact, because I think this is where limiting beliefs start. What beliefs do I have that are not mine? What beliefs do I have that are not mine? The reason why that question that was posed to me at one time was so impactful is because it made me realize that a lot of my limiting beliefs, or maybe my, let's say, a negative belief about how people with money act, or, those type of things, it was all rooted in possibly how I was raised, right? So we do our best as parents, but our children kind of adopt our belief system, or the experience they have growing up, or the experience we had growing up, forms beliefs in our psyche for better or worse, right? So we have to start out with that question: what beliefs do I have that aren't mine? Because if they're not mine, then it's a little bit easier for me to just be like, okay, bye. Yeah. High achievers remove beliefs from their thinking that hold them back. That framing question is what helped me do that the most. Jump through this one. Think of a time in your life when you had a limiting belief you needed to remove. How did you do it? So if anyone has an example of a limiting belief they feel like they really truly did remove, I would love to hear that. And if someone has a limiting belief that you're like, that sucker apparently is staying with me forever, I'm having a hard time getting rid of it. Either of those examples, would anyone be willing to share? I know it's a little bit more of a vulnerable question. It's okay. Yeah. Oh, heck yeah, Melanie. I don't know where yeah, come on. It's okay, I was gonna think of something. I got plenty of them.
Well, this is kind of funny because
Yeah.
it goes back to your family.
Oh, great.
Ah, wonderful, huh?
You get C credit for this too. Just kidding.
I was in a really horrible marriage.
Yeah.
Kimber knows it.
Yeah.
And basically, I was told that if I left, nobody would ever love me, nobody would ever love my kids. And I stayed in that crappy marriage for 14 years dealing with the abuse. And when I finally got over that hurdle and how freaking amazing that was to just know my worth and say, you know what, this is your belief. You know, you don't think anybody's ever going to love me, but somebody will. And you think I'll never be able to make it on my own, but guess what? I'm doing better than you. And once I finally had that courage to do it, the doors just opened wide open. So got over that.
Yeah, and what new successes came your way? Probably one of the best human beings that exists. Rob Lilyquist, right? Person you're married to right now.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yep.
I love that. Thank you for being vulnerable in that. So I'll just be vulnerable on mine. It's funny, back to the coaching example, right? Where your coach holds up a mirror in front of you. I sat at South Valley. I worked, so I've been with Keller Williams 10 years. And for a while, I was the director of agent services at South Valley. And so I sat right by the front desk. And so the person, our DFI that sat at the front desk, was within earshot of me. And so she could always hear what I was talking to agents about. And purposely, I always kept the door open because it's just, energy and air. And unless it was something confidential, why not? Right? So she always heard my conversations. And agents would ask me all the time. Like, I didn't really realize how much they were asking me. They would always ask me, "Are you an agent?" That's all they would ask. "Are you an agent?" Sometimes, "Are you licensed?" And she said it to me, or she pointed it out, kind of being funny, like, "Oh, it's so funny. You always say kind of the same thing." But I would always respond with, "Oh, no, like, I don't know, sales, like, that's just kind of not me. Like, that's just, yeah, I'm not really a salesy type of person." Or I'd say something like, "No." She always said I had an inflection, like, "No." There was just a limiting belief that was something that other people that were more outgoing, more charismatic, and better at connecting with people were than me. So for a long time, I never got my license, right? I think I was at Keller Williams 6 years before I got my license. But really, the only reason why I waited that long is because I was just good on the script of anyone but me, right? Everyone else is a perfect fit for that. I'm just the personality hire, right? Like, you kind of tell yourself a narrative. But that was a belief that wasn't mine, right? It was over time. Yes, I'm always the one that draws the crowd, or I'm always the one that connects with people. But I left all of the really important work up to people that could do more important things than me. I never really thought, hey, you know what? Why not me? Right? There's that quote, I think it's Marianne Williamson, that it says, what is it? How does it start? I pointed it out, and now I don't remember. I always remember the part they asked myself, who am I to be brilliant? I forget the quote, but it's who are you not to be, right? So I changed the framing of how I thought that, so it was, and I remember, again, even after getting my license, the very first house I sold was my own. Don't recommend that. But it was my own. And I remember, I have a license now. I'm in the club. And I go up to my broker, and I tried to explain to him, okay, so how does it work if I just have, because my father-in-law is a real estate agent, how does it work if I just have him help me with that? And I just get a referral fee. And he looked at me like I had 7 heads. He's like, Kimber, you're going to do it. Right? So it was even after I had done it, I still wasn't into it. But I'm using that as an example where it's like, that is not the story. That was nothing but a story, right? And it's not like, hey, and then I sold that house and then I was fine for the rest of my life, right? Everything that comes up, every new thing, that first like 3 whatever million dollar house, I was like, I have no business selling this house. Like, what is even happening right now, right? But it's like, go in, like, charge the storm, right? Every single person in here, you have limiting beliefs that are really the difference between you having this exponential growth and not. And the good news is that's the only thing getting in your way, right? Remember when we said earlier, high achievers, it's not the like, you know the most. Good job, you got that master's at Westminster. That's your secret sauce. It could be super helpful, but that's not the correlating factor of the high achievers. It's getting rid of this limiting belief. So thank you for being vulnerable, Melanie, and like claim it, say it out loud, put it down on paper, and enlist support to like, we got to get it out of here, right? Because it's the only reason that we're being held back. Be accountable. We're going to close it all out by getting other people involved. Oh no, we have to ask for help. I'm nervous now. Okay. This graphic you cannot see from far away, but on the left side, are you a victim? On the right side, or are you accountable? So I'm going to throw out some of the things on the left side. Victims blame people. They fight reality. Remember at the beginning, we started with writing down a goal just to really get real, get right with where we are at with our goal. Victims are not going to be comfortable with reality. Personal excuses. I'm going to read some of these because they're good. Nobody told me. I love that one. I did my part. It's not my job. It doesn't work here. I've already done everything. That wasn't on there, but I've seen a lot. I don't know if you guys are in Facebook groups. I'm in a lot of real estate agent general Facebook groups. There is a lot of this blue section right now with all of these changes. It's rampant right now. Weights and hopes. Well, I've gone to one class, so hopefully I'll figure this stuff out and still make money in this business, right? No, hope is not a strategy. Accountable side. This is reality. Not only acknowledging reality, I'm seeking out reality. I'm owning it. If it's to be, then it's up to me. I've got to do something. This is my responsibility. Finding solutions. What are my options? How can I get what I want? What can I do about it? And then gets on with it. Like, get started. Let's go. This is what I will do. Okay, let's do it. Let's get on with it. Victim is the status quo. Accountable is change. I love that at the bottom. Accountable is change. Which, unless all of us are sitting in a spot where we are like, everything is just great. I have plenty. I am good. There is nothing that I need to do more, right? But most of us, we wouldn't even be here unless we really need CE credit. We wouldn't be here unless we were looking for some type of a change, right? And most likely we want that change because we want more progress. So it starts with accountability. That's kind of the summary of those pages. Okay, so we're just going to quickly do this exercise. Think of an issue or problem you're struggling with right now. This one we'll kind of keep to ourselves, but think of an issue or problem you're struggling with. It says you have 2 minutes to complain about your problem. We're going to skip over that exercise, but you might have complained about it last night to somebody. So whatever that problem is. Okay, so we're going to go through the accountability steps. I'm going to go back here. Sorry. So what, if anyone wants to share, and we could do like a lighthearted one, what's like a problem that you've had recently? We're just like, it's a problem. Do we want to like just do the like NAR settlement? Because that's fun. Because we're sick of it. So let's talk about it more. Right? It's a problem. My day started out talking about that, and my day ended, and I was at Utah Realtor's office, and my day ended with us talking about that, right? We're not avoiding it, but it's a problem, and it keeps coming up. So I'll give you an example. Just real world, what happened in a Keller Williams Market Center in the state of Utah yesterday. So we identify this is a problem, and we need to create a platform that's compliant for our agents to market their listings. So we're sitting there talking about that. We're seeking reality, we're having brokers pull up rules to make sure we're in compliance. We're acknowledging that we need to do this, and we're getting the work done to do it. We're finding a solution that's going to be implemented, right? And then we're just getting on with it. So today or yesterday, it definitely felt more like we're in that find solution. Oh my gosh, we're talking about this again, right? Like to me, sometimes I think that. But then next week, like we get to just get on with it, and we get to focus on those conversations and how to best help all of our agents, which are our customer, right? Like that's what we wake up and think about doing. And you all wake up, you want to sell real estate. You want to help people with the American dream. So the quicker we seek the reality, we acknowledge that it's real, it's not going away. Like, you know how sometimes you go to sleep and you wake up and you're like, yep, I still need to do that. It's not going away. And then we're going to find a solution, and we're in the best spot, and we have the best support around us to do that. So I'm just going to give that as an example. This is Mark King. He was the president of the company. He was the president of the company previously to the one now. He has this example for accountability of his box, which is financial, spiritual, physical, and business. So he puts names in each of those. For financial, these are my accountability people. For spirituality, these are the people that I am going to seek guidance and help from. For physical, these are the people. For business. For accountability, this specifically is the most important method, because you are not just saying, hey, I need an accountability buddy. Because sometimes the person that can tell you and give you the best advice, but also hold you accountable in your financial world, is not the person that's going to be able to hold you accountable in the spiritual world or in your physical health. So breaking it down by category, and then who are you going to enlist for help? And I will just tell you, if you are ever going to hire a coach, the best coaches, yes, they may not be able to highly counsel you on all of them, but they're going to ask you about all of them. The coaches that they're just talking about business, it's not they don't get the whole picture, right? Because if you are physically just not getting any sleep and drained, you're not going to show up in your business and for your family, right? The way that you need to. So identifying those. Who are the people? That's the first and quickest step to being accountable. And then we're going to wrap up right now. So what is your goal? How did you do it? How did you feel about that? This is what really an accountability session looks like. So not that you have to give your accountability partner the model, but you are going to tell them, this is exactly what I need you to ask me. Okay, this is my last thing that I'll have you quickly fill out because we are doing a wealth building class. For those on Zoom, we're doing a wealth building class in here, so we're wrapping up quick. This is the eval that I need you to fill out. So obviously there's not names on here, so you can't see those. So it's Kimber Walton. If you're on Zoom, you're gonna put virtual. If you're in person, you're gonna put in person. My name is not in the drop down because I'm not KWU approved yet, so you're gonna put my name. And then you're gonna put instructor not in drop down, and then you'll put in my name. And then it will just ask you specific questions around different areas that training, covering curriculum, timing, all that. It is 12 p.m. So there you go. Any other last minute thoughts before we close it down? Yeah, thank you. I will be hanging out, so any other thoughts or questions? And Justin is teaching it? Wealth building. So if you stay for that, you can start getting a kickstart for all these things that we just talked about. Yeah, so you pick the instructor not in drop down. It's the very bottom. So it's like the Britney Spears. I call it the Britney Spears mic. Which is now my left arm is a little bit, it's a little bit asleep, but it's okay. It was 2 hours. Yeah.